Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 76 on this Tuesday night. We had yesterday off, so it was kind of like a Monday today.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say, welcome back to the Weather Channel.
It is, we're going to talk about the weather again because it's a lot.
That's all we talk about anymore. We had a blizzard.
We had a blizzard, lots of snow. At the beginning of this video is just like the beginning of this is a little video of all the snow that we've gotten, which is like how many inches?
I don't know, but it's got to be approaching 40, not all at once, obviously. I saw something where the Department of Streets and Sanitation in the city said that in the city they got 28 inches in 19 days. And first of all, it seemed like a lot more than that. That was before that was like sometime last week they said that. So then over this weekend we got about another foot. So yeah, we're like in the neighborhood of 40 inches of snow.
It's not only the snow, but it's the snow drifts because of the wind that has like pushed it just like super high. The snow is so high on our front lawn that it goes up to like the top of our fence. That's pretty much.
Oh yeah, for between drifting and blowing snow and the piles where we're shoveling it, we have, it's got to be 4 feet tall.
Yeah.
By the sidewalk.
It's almost as tall as me.
My dad.
I'm only 5'2".
So my mother had blue eyes, and there's some old song with the lyric something like 5'2", eyes of blue or something like that. And my mom would get very upset because she was not 5'2". She was short, but she was probably a little taller than.
She was a little taller than me. Yes, that is for sure.
But my dad thought that was kind of funny. Not that he was a giant, but he was like 5'11" or so. So he was kind of like
that's
normal. Normal height.
Yeah. And one thing that's curious about this winter is I don't have snow boots. And you're like, Jennifer, why don't you have boots? You live in Chicago and it's snowing. And that's a very good question. I believe we talked about this before when it hadn't snowed very much, kind of thing. Then I got to thinking, like, what if my boots are underneath my desk at work? Like, what if I had a pair? Because I know I had boots, so I don't know if I...
Well, there were a couple pairs, because there was the one that they were kind of like white and then laced up, and it was like fur, but I thought those didn't fit anybody.
Yeah, those might have not fitted, but then I had another pair, and I just don't know what happened to them. So they could be sitting at my desk that has been abandoned for the last 11 months. So I ordered a new pair, and they are coming tomorrow. Super excited about that. Luckily, our oldest daughter and we have the same shoes, so I wore her boots today, shoveling snow. And they're
like Doc Martens, right?
Yeah.
So it was kind of punk rock.
They are waterproof, and I has like really heavy socks underneath it, 2 pairs of socks.
I actually asked her about that because she wore them out in it. It had been snowing a lot, and she actually treats them. She has something to put on them to keep them waterproof.
That's good.
Yeah.
They are super comfortable, and obviously this morning we were out there for a while.
Like an hour.
Mm-hmm.
We were out at. Well, we probably headed out the door about 6:15, and it took till about 7:15 between the two of us to shovel the front and then the side and back and then the apron of the garage.
And
so we can hopefully be able to get our car out at some point.
Yeah, and the snow was so deep in the alley, it was probably at least a couple feet tall.
Oh yeah, because it drifts a lot back there.
Yeah. So, and nobody had gotten out yet, so it's kind of just like there.
Well, except that, there's a construction project going on down at the corner at the end of the alley, and they plowed about 10% of the alley to bring in.
It didn't even go into the first person's garage.
Right.
It was just kind of like up to where they were working, and it's just like, okay, that's it.
I mean, not that they had any obligation, but after all the disruption they've caused in our neighborhood, you'd think it would just be a nice gesture.
How long would it have taken
to plow the entire alley so that because everybody digs out from their garage, and there are on the other side of the alley there are some parking lots because there's some apartment buildings on that side. So the people who own the buildings always plow those little lots. So between people digging out their garages and the plowing of those little lots, if they just run their snow plow down the alley, probably no one would have any trouble getting out. Although we did walk by there later in the day, and it actually looked like there had been a fair amount of traffic up and down the alley, so it's probably not going to be that big.
Yeah, I'm not sure if our son has school tomorrow. I think we mentioned he's got a class at Macy's on State Street, so that's tomorrow afternoon. So I'm not sure if I have to take him or if that's canceled.
Well,
We'll
we
see.
can dig it out a little more if need be.
Yeah.
But it is funny. I mean, it's not in any one snowstorm we've had this year. Probably the most we've gotten is this was probably the biggest. But we've had so much snow. It's happened so frequently, and it's been so cold. It just doesn't really melt.
And I think that's a big difference because usually in years past it'll like snow and then melt, snow, melt. So there's never like a high accumulation. Fun snow fact, I just had a memory of this flashback. When I was in elementary school, I purposefully left my violin in my locker on Friday because I didn't want to practice over the weekend. And I got home and my dad was like, where's your violin? I'm like, I left it at school. And I was like, oh, shucks. And
that's probably exactly what you said.
yeah. And so he's like, let's get in the car. We're going to go get it. And so we got in the car. But the snow had piled up so much that on the corners, it was really high. And as we were approaching an intersection, another car came and hit our car and we got in a car accident. And I just
So you're saying that's
horrible.
all your fault?
It was totally my fault. And I was like, okay, that's just because you didn't want to practice the violin. So, yeah, that was not good. It was a fender bender, but still, it was just kind of like...
We have the same issue with guitar.
Why are you practicing? I left it at home.
You are
We're
at
home. That is funny.
So, and of course, it's not just cold here. It's cold all over the place, like all the way down into Texas.
Yeah, I feel so sorry for millions of people who have no power right now and
Yeah.
have had no power for several days, no heat, running out of firewood. And it's not like people think like here, you know, for Chicagoans, it's like, oh, that's nothing. But they don't have any, and there's nobody that has shovels just automatically or snow blowers or salt or trucks or anything like that. So they are really like kind of like on their own.
One person that I work with who lives in Houston, and if we look on a map, Houston is pretty far south.
And I saw that
basically
I actually
Gulf
looked
Coast.
them up today.
And they were without power all day yesterday, and then like, I don't know, 6 hours or so today. And we had the day off yesterday, but it's not much of a day off when you have power.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just want to point out the little video clip. That was probably, I don't know, maybe around 10 o'clock at night last night. Maybe a little bit earlier than that. But we had already shoveled snow twice.
Yes.
So what you see in the video is what had already accumulated to that point, and then we got way more snow overnight.
Yeah, and when we walked out, of course there was a ton on our front porch, and then Dade was starting to shovel off the steps, and then when I got to the bottom of the step, I thought I was at the bottom. I had one more step, and then I stepped in, and it was like way over my boot. It was just kind of like, okay.
Yeah, it was crazy. But I was trying to get down there before you went down the stairs.
But I just kind of figured like I could start, get a head start kind of thing.
Yeah, it was pretty nuts. It was pretty nuts. And I'm sure, I haven't seen this yet, but although I guess it's fortunate when it happens mostly overnight, but it did start during the day yesterday. Well, it really started. I mean, it actually started on Sunday.
Yeah.
Because I was out there about 7 o'clock on yesterday, and shoveling a little bit, and it was bitter cold. I only went out then because there was a break, but it had snowed from late afternoon overnight. There was a little bit of a break. Shovel. It was like 1 degree. That's the problem. It's like it's okay if it's one or the other. If it's bitter cold, you just stay inside. If it's snowy, but it's 20s or whatever, you go out and shovel the snow, but it's not that bad.
Right.
When it's 1 degree out, and there's a strong wind, and you're out there for 45 minutes. That's pretty miserable.
Yeah, it's not a good combo.
But today we got it done,
Teamwork.
quickly. But I kind of changed the subject. Down in the south, not. I guess it's mostly just like directly south of us is where it's all the way down Louisiana and Texas and stuff like that. It's insane.
Yeah.
And I guess they had really bad ice in Nashville yesterday or Sunday.
Yeah, I saw pictures of cars that were just completely encased in ice, and you just couldn't even even walk out to even try to get in your car because it was just like a ice skating rink.
Well, that's what I was telling the story about bringing my brother Tom when he moved to Nashville. And it was, and the funny thing is, it just dawned on me just the other day that was 25 years ago.
Yeah.
It was very strange to think. And it was right around, it was probably like the 17th or whatever of February in 1996. But it was minus 20 in Chicago when we left.
An actual temperature.
The actual air temperature was minus 20. And it was still, around, because, it's a long drive, obviously, from Chicago to Nashville. It was around 0 or so when we got to Nashville. And that was probably the scariest part because they'd also had a little snow and stuff like that. And there was a little bit, they get snow from time to time, but those were extreme conditions. So I was seeing the videos yesterday and I was thinking, yeah, we were a little nervous when we got into Nashville and it wasn't anywhere near as icy, but it was super, super cold. And we thought,
yeah,
hope people are taking it easy on the roads.
I know. I really wanted to yesterday, like last night. We live right by the expressway, so literally a half a block. So I wanted to go because they were really warning people like, do not
Stay
go
off the
out
roads and stuff.
at all. And I like to see an expressway when it's like bare.
Well, except that it probably wasn't.
I know because people are just like, well, it's not that bad. I'll go out anyway.
Yeah, we talked about this before, but the problem is, in places where people aren't used to these kind of conditions, they don't have experience driving on it and stuff like that. That can be a problem. But we have sort of the reverse problem here, where everybody thinks, oh well, we live in this,
no problem.
we can handle it. We're tough.
Yeah.
Whatever. So people will go out and it was probably like 10 years ago. There's a really, really horrible, like 2 feet of snow or 26 inches of snow, just a huge, huge, huge blizzard. And it all happened in one day. And a lot of, and they were predicting it for days and days ahead of time. And everybody had to go out and, the people went to work.
And on Lakeshore
Drive.
To work
the day that it was going to hit. And then about 3 in the afternoon, when it started coming down really heavily, all of a sudden, all these people who work on the loop were like, "Well, we better take off." I guess they were serious, and so all these cars are out in this incredibly heavy snowstorm on Lakeshore Drive, right by the lake, which is a lot of times where it's the worst because the moisture from the lake makes it even worse, and just hundreds and hundreds of cars stuck.
It got so bad that you
abandoned
couldn't even go any further. You just had to. It was like.
And they were like buried because it was not only 2 feet of snow, but the winds were so strong. These cars were buried. So people, we're not that smart. I keep seeing people say in other social media platforms, well, those folks, they just don't know how to drive. Yeah, well, that may be, but we're terrible because we all think we can handle conditions.
Right.
No, you just can't handle. No one can handle.
Yeah, and you're like.
So we do dumb things.
Yeah, so I'm glad we didn't have to go anywhere to try to navigate that, which is good.
The one funny thing, I just go back to the trip to Nashville because this, for some reason, I always remember this. So we drove for hours and hours. We left as early as we could. It was one of those situations where we packed everything up the night before, and then drove from my brother's place in the northwestern suburbs of Chicago. We drove. And my brother had a crazy route. The normal way to get from Chicago to Nashville is you go into Indiana and you take I-65 south, and it takes you all the way through Indianapolis, downstate Indiana, through Kentucky, and it's a straight shot to Nashville.
Okay.
That's and everyone who's ever driven from Chicago to Nashville knows that.
Okay, I don't even know. I think I know the story. How did you guys go?
So my brother had this idea that he wanted to go down I-57, which is, you think of basically I-57 is the route from Chicago to Memphis, and it goes on all the way down to New Orleans. But, Memphis is on the east end of the state, and Nashville's kind of in the middle.
So
no, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Down. Nashville's on the west end of the state, of course.
So you went all the way down and had to go...
Yeah, so you went all the way down through Illinois, all the way down to the very tip, crossed over into Kentucky, and I don't think we went all the way to Memphis before we headed east to Nashville. I can't quite recall that. but
Yeah.
it was some kind of circuitous route. But anyway, so at one point we're in Kentucky, and we're not that far away from Nashville yet. I mean, we still have a few hours to drive, but it's light out still. And so we stop at a gas station to, there was a big truck, moving truck. My brother had a Chevy Suburban. It was me and my brother and his dog in the Chevy Suburban driving down there, and then there were like two other cars. And so we stopped to gas up, and so naturally, what do you do when you're moving? You have to buy beer, right?
Definitely.
Because that's an essential part of moving. So we stop at a gas station that also had the little convenience store, and we got beer. And so someone got the idea of just putting it in the back of the moving truck so it would stay cold the rest of the way to Nashville. And I'm sitting in my brother's, the front seat of the Suburban, and the moving truck is in front of us, and one of my other brothers opens up the back. And by the way, it's like 10 below in wherever we were in Kentucky. It was super cold in Kentucky. But the air in the back of the truck was like 20 below from Chicago. And he opens at the back of the truck. You could literally see the colder air pouring out the
Like
back
dry
of
ice.
the back of the truck, because obviously it's colder. It was the wildest thing I've ever seen. And then we put the beer in the truck and drove the rest of the way.
And it didn't explode.
No, it didn't. Although, it was pretty cold. We must have been pretty far near. We must have been close to.
Yeah, so it wasn't in there for like.
And
6
maybe I'm
hours.
wrong. Maybe it was in Tennessee already. I have this recollection that it was in Kentucky, but that was 25 years ago. So.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah. That
So
was
yeah,
crazy.
another reason why it doesn't make too
Yeah.
bad to move in the winter time. No fun.
Yeah. and so we also traded off driving. Driving my brother's giant Suburban was pretty hilarious too.
Yeah, I don't think I could do that. I only rented one of the smallest trucks when I moved from here into my first apartment with my roommate in the city. And for some reason, I was moving some of the stuff by myself. But I just remember getting in the truck, and I think it's so funny that U-Haul's just like, take it. Good luck.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. They don't like tell you like anything. It's just like, you just go. I had to go on the expressway, and I just remember having to get over 3 lanes. Yeah, is it 3 lanes?
Was
to
it
get
manual
over?
transmission?
It wasn't. Although I could drive manual. But I just remember just turning on the blinker and then just like, I'm going to the next lane. So just, I'm going to hear somebody honking on their horn, or I just kept on doing that, and I just kept getting one over, and I did it.
The other thing about this trip was that it was a rider truck, and there was some sort of regulator so that you could not drive that truck over 55 miles an hour.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I mean that set the pace.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it was a slow trip. It was a slow trip, and we went the wrong way, and we're all just kind of like, well, whatever. This is the way Tom wants to go this way, so we're going this way. We came back up I-65 and over.
And if had you been like, we're just gonna go our way, then you would have been there way sooner, and then couldn't have gotten in anyway. So
it's still a very long drive when
Yes,
you go that way too.
definitely.
But if you look on a map, it's definitely more direct, because you come around the bottom of Lake Michigan, and then you can pick up I-65, not too far into the state, and just go straight south. When you're going
All right,
to,
now I know how to get there.
well, when you're going to like the Warren Dunes or whatever, you're going through Northwest Indiana. You always see the signs for I-65 for Indianapolis, but you just keep going past Indianapolis, and it takes you to Nashville. So we didn't
Good
go there.
times.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically what we've been up to, is just dealing with the snowstorm blizzard of the weekend and cleaning up from that. Thankfully, I don't think we're supposed to get snow tomorrow. I think Wednesday's the next chance, and then we're just gonna have to see.
What did it say in Houston? Oh, 32.
32, but it feels like 23. But earlier today it was like 3 or something like that. It was just something
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I saw somebody in the New Orleans area, 17 degrees.
Yeah, that's a crazy town.
Well, she's in Louisiana. I don't know if she's in New Orleans proper, but
So at least the
17
snow
degrees.
that's there is, we won't get any of it for a few more days, so that's good.
That's true. The the upside for them is they will warm up eventually and will still be the deep. Oh, I forgot the other thing here. One of my cousins pointed out that, you know, typically the worst stretch of weather in the Chicago area is between January 15th and February 15th. So today's the 16th. She's like, we survived. I'm like, then
Right.
why did I have to shovel 18 inches of snow this morning?
Exactly.
You know, I don't think it's really
We'll have to
over.
put some pictures on the end of like our snow this morning when we took.
Oh man, it's insane.
Yeah. So we hope wherever you are, you're keeping warm and safe, and you hopefully don't have to go anywhere in bad weather. And if you live in Texas, we're sorry. Hope you get heat
absolutely.
and electricity and all that stuff, and stay safe. But we hope you guys have a good rest of the night, and we will see you next time. Bye.